Thanks very much for that kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for having me here. Hope I didn't delay us too much. We had tried to pack in a few other events this morning as well, so we got a longer extended coffee break to fit us all in. But it's a pleasure to be here to address the QualiBuild conference. I spoke at the first conference back in October 2014. That's it. So I'm very pleased to be here for one of the final conferences you have. I know it's not the end of the overall project, but it's kind of your final conference and the completion of this important project. At that stage, I was a minister in a different department. I was Minister for Skills, Research and Innovation, and I was in both Department of Education and Department of Enterprise. And our whole aim at that time was to develop a new national skills strategy, as well as a science strategy as well. But the purpose of today is about the skills agenda and putting in place the relationship with our education system and our enterprise system and our businesses that you can link in together and work to solve the skills shortage and the skills agenda and the upskilling agenda for the years ahead as well, which is exactly what you're at here today, and part of that about the skills agenda and the quality of our build, which is very, very important as well. So at that stage I was only newly in my role as well at that stage back then, and now I'm newly in this role again. So it's certainly a combination. I'm now working in the Department of Housing, Environment and Local Government. Housing, Planning and Local Government. We keep changing the name just to confuse ourselves and everybody else as well. But the main focus of that department in the next 18 months or 2 years is to build a sustainable, put the housing construction sector on a sustainable footing for the years ahead. And you will hear talk of a new housing plan, or an action plan for housing, which is again to bring all the stakeholders involved in delivering housing and houses that are badly needed to keep the economy going over the years ahead, both for social housing but for everyone across the board as well. Because most of you guys I know that are involved in construction, there's a major shortage of houses, and we have to try to fast track as best we can delivery of housing, both social and private use as well. And that can only happen with all of us coming together under what we call the action plan for housing, to focus our minds, to focus on the actions, and to make sure every department and all the stakeholders like yourselves are part of that and part of making it happen as well. So what you're doing here today, and have been doing for the last couple of years, feeds into that, because it's also about making sure that while we're looking for a major increase in the quantity, we can't turn our back on quality. And in fact, quality has to be key and has to be important as well as we go along. So at the outset, I want to thank the consortium members, the Limerick Institute of Technology and its partners, the DIT and Branches IT, the Irish Green Building Council, for giving me the opportunity to be here with you today, and for your work on this over the last couple of years as well. I also wish to acknowledge that the QualiBuild project would not have been possible without the support of the European Commission, and I am pleased to see that the Commission's representative here to witness firsthand the success of the project, resulting from the very significant efforts and work put in by the members of the QualiBuild team over the last couple of years as well. And as I was talking to some of the guys earlier on, this really is only the start of what has to be done. There's a major work here to roll this out to the thousands of people involved in this sector who would need to avail of this and need to avail of this upscaling opportunity. And I know it's important that we get that message out as well, of what we expect of people as well, and to all the various partners, that you'll have a chance to roll that out. But I know we have a lot of speakers this afternoon about that as well, and so listen are a part of it as well. But we have to all get in behind this to get the message out that this is the expectation we need, this is what we want. You've made it a little bit easier during the last couple of years of starting this off, but we have to kind of keep the pressure on. As you're all aware, and as I've referred to earlier, we are in the middle of a severe housing shortage, and the delivery of quality housing in a short time frame and at an affordable price is critical to meeting the demand for residential accommodation that has built up in our major urban areas as the recovery in our economy is sustained and continues to grow. We know that we needed about 25,000 houses a year. Last year we only had 12,000 houses, and 6,000 of them were one-off builds. So we're way behind where we need to be. At this moment in time, there's about 4,000 houses being constructed, 4,000 housing units. So we need a major ramp up over the months ahead and the years ahead. And the funding has been set aside for social housing. I know in private sector it can be hard to get the money at the right price and at the right speed you need it, but we're trying to work with you on that as well. But we really have to deliver this, and we know probably to meet demand and the pent up demand, we need about 35,000 houses for the next couple of years. But in the long term, we want to try and average the sector out at about 25,000 housing units a year. That's just in housing. There's also a construction demand right throughout other areas as well. I mean, the C45 or so cranes in Dublin at the moment, they're all nearly at office blocks and office building and the commercial end of things. There is a capital infrastructure plan, taxpayers' money, 42 billion over the next 4 to 5 years. So there's a lot going to happen in the construction sector over the next couple of years. But we can't let happen what happened before, that due to a shortage of skills and a major demand, quality suffered and did suffer. And that can't happen again, and it's not acceptable. And a lot of changes have been put in place to trying to prevent that as well. But it's important that we work on that and focus our minds on that as well. So it's important that we deliver housing in the short time frame. It is equally important that we deliver quality and durable housing that will meet the needs and expectations of consumers and citizens in a manner that is sustainable in economic, social and environmental terms. The development of QualiBuild mirrors the focus on quality building, which this government will pursue in the wake of the many serious and unprecedented failures that affected our construction industry and the economy over the past decade or so. Failures such as pyrite, defective blocks due to mica and other issues, and fire safety standards, which has given rise to difficulties and distress among the many affected homeowners. They have to be a thing of the past. We're still dealing with those legacy issues. Yes, I spent most of the day in Donegal looking at houses literally crumbling and falling apart due to, it looks like a defective block. There could be other reasons as well. That's being analysed at the moment. But there's certainly a very high concentration and presence of mica, which shouldn't be there. And that's down to a poor quality and a poor quality product. And we have to work on that as well. And from a County Meath, which many houses have suffered pyrite. And again, it was fixable. And in most areas, a lot of developers and builders stepped up and did put the money in there and did, when they could afford to do it, and did fix those houses. Others were left high and dry. We're trying to get them addressed now through a pyrite scheme. And then we've seen the issues about fire safety in other houses where a poor quality of house build. That has to be in the past. That can't continue. Looking at people's and families' lives on hold because of the house they're in, that they know that house will not last the test of time. That's not acceptable, and all of us are part of that, and I think very much everybody here is probably on board with that message because you're part of this, but we have to spread that word out because it cannot happen again, and all of us have a duty to prevent that through regulations, but through quality of workmanship as well, and recognition of the importance of quality. There is people can make a living out of this and can make their profits and still deliver quality, and that's what it's all about as well. We have learned the painful lessons from these mistakes, and our reformed and credible building control framework is now in place, which will ensure that such devastating failures will not be repeated. This framework addresses the minimum performance requirements through the building regulations and associated standards, the building control through proper certification of works and the use of competent professionals and installers, and the use of proper and durable materials through product certification. To ensure the delivery of quality homes, a trained and skilled workforce is required that can deliver dwellings built to a high quality standards, at scale, and in a consistent and repeatable manner at a reasonable cost. And that's exactly the sector you're in at the moment. The Building Control Regulations 2014, or the Standard Instrument Number 9 of 2014 as they're often known, require greater accountability in relation to compliance with building regulations in the form of statutory certification of design and construction by registered construction professionals and builders, by lodgement of compliance documentation, mandatory inspections during construction, validation and registration of certificates. In effect, anybody who works on site or who provides professional services on construction projects must now be in a position to satisfy an assigned certifier and the Building Control Authority that they are competent and that their work is compliant. It is clear that the construction industry has responded well to the new regulatory framework, and the recent reforms have brought a new order and discipline to bear on construction projects, and that's something we need to continue. All in all, we have entered into a new era of accountability and oversight, and which I believe will, as the reforms continue to bed down, deliver the quality of homes and buildings that will provide safe and sustainable homes that people demand and expect, and assume they were getting. And I had always assumed they were getting. So there's a duty in all of us involved in all the different elements of this to make sure that their expectations are met. Quality and competence are the bywords of the future. The failures of the past with the associated lack of responsibility and traceability are no longer acceptable in the construction of buildings. In tandem with the commencement of Statutory Instrument Number 9 of 2014, the Construction Industry Federation established the Construction Industry Register of Ireland as well, as a voluntary register of builders, contractors and specialist trade persons. Legislative proposals which we will propose placing the register on a statutory footing are currently being prepared by my department with a view to their being presented to the government for its consideration in the months ahead and to make it on a legal footing as well. This is seen as an additional essential consumer protection measure, giving consumers who engage a registered builder the assurance that they are dealing with a competent and compliant operator. And again, while we're waiting to put it on a statutory footing, we all have to do our best to get people the recognition for going on that register and get the message out. Likewise, any workers and people who've got the skills that you've provided over the last couple of years and done your course as well, they need to be recognised, and that needs to be. You get your cert, but we have to get the word out to the purchasers of the quality you are prepared to deliver, and get that recognition so that you're rewarded for your work that you put into upskilling and to learning new skills and to be able to deliver the quality as well. That message has to go out, that we promote that excellence and that we advertise it as well. I am sure that the development of the QualiBuild training register will complement the existing Construction Industry Register of Ireland and the legislative proposals being developed within my department. So I look forward to QualiBuild working with industry on this, and certainly I'll play my part that we get your training register recognised. I know there's a bit of an issue going on there at the moment, but I think it's important that we will get that recognised as part of that as well, as part of the development. I'm pleased to say that this programme and its predecessor, the Build Up Skills Initiative, is an exemplar of the type of approach that is needed to provide skills to the construction industry. And I'm happy to say that my department has been an active supporter of both programmes since 2012. And the approach adopted by QualiBuild of reaching out, engaging and consulting with all stakeholders in government, industry and academia at both the professional and the craft worker level has been an important ingredient in its success. With over 75 trainers now trained and over 200 construction workers trained, and with plans in place to continue to roll out this programme through education providers, the QualiBuild programme will be a key enabler in supporting the delivery of quality housing into the future. And we did speak earlier on to Shane and some of the lads here about actually rolling this out, because what's the figure you gave me? Someone said something like 60,000 people in the sector that we have to try and reach. I know it'll take a bit of time, but this is about actually putting in place the mechanisms to make that happen and to engage all stakeholders. And I'll certainly be happy as a minister, previous Minister for Skills and now Minister in this area of the Planning and Housing Department, to work with you on that to make that happen, because it's an essential and I can see the benefits of it, and I'll be happy to promote that and do what I can to try to get it recognised as well. While it is important that the QualiBuild programme addresses construction quality in a holistic way, it also addresses in particular the importance of energy efficiency in buildings. And as you are all aware, the issue of climate change is one of the most significant challenges facing this government and many governments across the continent. In this regard, my department has set ambitious performance requirements in the building regulations as part of the journey towards nearly zero energy dwellings. Since 2007, renewables have become compulsory on all new dwellings, and our energy efficiency standards for new dwellings are comparable to the best in Europe. Building on the requirements in place for residential buildings, my department will announce new regulations for public consultation later this year to drive improved energy efficiency standards in the non-residential sector as well. The availability of training, which addresses energy efficiency in conjunction with all other parts of the building regulations, will be key to achieving the delivery of nearly zero energy buildings, which will ensure householders enjoy high quality living conditions in a safe, in a healthy and accessible manner going forward.